Now that we have gone over the different types of curves in an EQ, let's dive into another parameter that you've probably seen on EQs before, Q. We're going to break it down and look at exactly what Q means and how we might use it when we're EQing. Q stands for quality factor, and it is the bandwidth of the boost or cut. As we change the Q value, the bandwidth gets narrower or wider. We can see that it's affecting more frequencies when it's wider and fewer frequencies when it's more narrow. This function is extremely useful because it allows us to affect a very narrow or wide range of frequencies within each band. Let's take a look at it in action to understand it further. Let's apply this to our guitar track. We have a distorted guitar with a lot of buildup in the high mid frequencies, around 3 kHz, and it's giving it a harsh sound. Take a listen. So we can hear that it has a harsh tone to it. We're going to apply a bell curve cut around 3 kHz. If we just leave the Q value at its starting place, the cut seems to take away too much energy in the overall sound. It's dulling out the guitar, and it's not exactly the effect we're going for. It's not precise enough around the frequencies that we want to cut. So in order to be more precise, we're going to boost the Q value. By increasing the Q value and making the curve more narrow, we're able to focus just on those harsh frequencies and cut them out more effectively. A narrow bandwidth is also useful for boosting certain desirable qualities of an instrument. Let's take a listen to this kick drum and see where we can boost in order to add more presence to the attack of the kick. So this kick's attack is somewhere in the high mid frequencies. Let's do a boost and see what we can come up with. So we're able to add a lot of presence to the beater of this kick drum by using a narrower Q and boosting right where that kick drum beater is hitting. We can also use a more broad Q to affect larger areas of a sound in order to achieve a more powerful effect. Take a listen to this piano. Let's say we want to give this piano some presence, which, as we learned, is going to be in the high mid frequency range. We can do a boost around 5 kHz to hear what it sounds like. With a narrower Q, it's going to be too resonant. We're going to hear the ringing of the piano. If we want a more natural lift, we'll take the Q value down. So we're getting a much more natural lift because we're able to affect more of the frequencies. Now that we have gone over Q as it relates to bell curves, let's dive into how Q values affect shelf curves. Low and high shelf curves, as we discussed previously, are ways to boost or cut broad ranges above or below a certain frequency. When we adjust the Q value of this shelf, we're either going to get a smoother or steeper boost. Let's take a listen on an acoustic guitar what our Q value does to our high shelf boost. So we can hear that with a higher Q value, we're getting more resonance because it's a steeper boost. With a lower Q value, we're getting a much more gradual, natural lift with this shelf. So that's the basics of how Q factor affects bells and shelf curves. To recap, it's an important control that allows us to determine how precisely we are boosting or cutting frequencies.